Hey there YouTube, it's Nick with Feeding Fitness. Today I've got kind of a fun topic. I'm going to talk about my least favorite healthy foods. This is a list of foods that pretty much anyone would deem healthy. They're the things you're told to eat when people say you need to eat a clean, healthy diet. Now, if you've ever watched any of my videos before, you know I think clean eating is entirely bullshit, and this list will point to why, kind of. Now, before I start, let me preface it with, I'm not saying you should never eat these foods. I'm saying that you need to eat everything in moderation, including healthy foods. So if you like these foods, they're fine. But for the most part, I find them particularly worthless when you're in the throes of dieting and calories are at a premium and you're really working hard to create your caloric deficit and you're hungry and you're not feeling satiated. These foods suck. They are not worth their weight in calories, not even close. Now, if you're in a bulking phase and you're trying to get in as many calories as possible, this list is great. But most of us don't have trouble with the gaining weight side of bulk cutting. It's the cutting side where we have to lose weight. And here's this list of healthy foods that I think are just going to get you in trouble. At the very top of the list, and I'm going to get some hate for this because people love this stuff. Peanut butter and Nutella. It's garbage. It is not a good cutting food. First of all, most of you, if you're not weighing your foods, are exceeding the serving size. The serving size of peanut butter or Nutella is generally 2 tablespoons. If you're just scooping in a spoon and popping it on bread or putting it in your mouth, I'd bet money you're exceeding the serving size in grams. Furthermore, let's say you aren't, let's say you're spot on with your amounts, that's not a lot of food for the amount of calories you get. Those are, most peanut butters and Nutella, 200 calories for 2 tablespoons. And Nutella especially, it's got 12 fats, 21 carbs, all sugar, and 2 grams of protein. What good is that? And even people who say peanut butter is a great source of protein, it is. At most, it's got like 6 grams. How is that a great source of protein? That's an awful source of protein. You know, per tablespoon, that you're getting ripped off. There are better ways to spend your calories. Now, I'm not going to argue that both of those things aren't delicious, but if you're in a diet, that's not the best food. There are more satiating choices than Nutella or peanut butter. And I'm going to throw nuts into that category too. I find nuts to be slightly more satiating than peanut butter, but for the most part, again, not a great way to spend your calories. Yes, they contain micronutrients and they have, well, what people like to call healthy fats, but I think you can better spend your fats than on these things. Next, granola or granola bars. Another thing that's often labeled a health food. Yeah, calorie bomb, carbohydrate bomb, devoid of protein most of the time, or not enough to make it seriously worth it. Are you going to spend 300 calories on a teeny little cup of granola? I think not. And a lot of times, ton of sugar. All right, olive oil and coconut oil. People will always say, well, these are the good fats. They're good for you. Well, unfortunately, olive oil and canola oil still have about the same amount of calories as butter. So, yeah, they have a certain, the fats that are in them can be desirable in moderation, but I prefer not to waste any of my calories on something like oil. If I need fat with my meats, rather than frying something, I would just eat a fattier meat. Why cook tilapia in oil when you could just have salmon? You know, why fry chicken when you could have a steak? I would just rather have the calories that way. But moving on, whole wheat bread. Now, this one, it depends on what kind you get. If a slice of wheat bread has 150 calories and you're probably going to eat 2 of them if you're making a sandwich, you know, 300 calories for your bread, no thanks. I prefer like the 50 calorie a slice or 35 calorie a slice wheat bread, just better choice. But some of your whole wheat breads have way too many calories. All right, dried fruit. Dried fruit has, it's just, fruit that is dried. It tends to be higher in sugar and less satiating. Why have a handful of a handful of raisins when you could have a bowl full of grapes? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I would rather have the fruits whole. Smoothies. Smoothies are downright awful. Some of these have 500 to 700 calories, and where they might have some protein in them, some people will add protein powder to smoothies. It's just not worth the calories. If you're trying to get protein in liquid form for whatever reason, protein powder plus water or protein powder plus almond milk. That is the best way to do it. Unsweetened almond milk, 30 calories a cup, or water, 0 calories. Smoothies loaded with added sugars. Yeah, they're packed with micronutrients, packed with vitamins, packed with minerals, but for 600 to 700 calories, I would rather have a multivitamin and a pint of Ben & Jerry's ice cream. I'm skipping the smoothies. Most protein bars, and I'm going to say most because there are some very good ones out on the market. The gold standard in protein bars, in my opinion, is the Quest bar. They have between 160 and 200 calories a piece. With that, you're always getting 20 or more grams of protein. The macros just make sense. There's a lot of fiber in them. They're very filling. They're worth it. Now, you look at some other protein bars, Cliff protein bars, they make some, there's a million brands where you flip it over, 300 calories a bar, 350 calories a bar. Not worth it. In my opinion, at 350 calories, you're getting into where you should just make yourself a meal. Not big on protein bars. And fruit juice. So fruit juice, you should tend to think of as soda with micronutrients. Tons of sugar. Why have fruit juice, again, when you could have fruit? Same thing with dried fruit. No dried bananas, no orange juice. Have an actual banana and an actual orange. It will provide you much more satiation. So that's just a list of things that are considered healthy, and again, by no means do you need to exclude them from your diet. You can eat them every day if you really want to, but if you're cutting and you're having trouble, all of these foods are calorie bombs, and it might be better to go about replacing them with more satiating choices. A lot of these foods are pretty high fat, and don't get me wrong, you need to be getting your fats in. I just think there are better ways to get fats in than the foods on this list. I prefer dairy to get my fats in. I like low fat or medium, full fat cheeses. Those are going to come along with protein, more satiating in my opinion, or fattier cuts of meat. I'll have a steak, salmon, pork chop, something like that. I just find to be more satiating than peanut butter or Nutella. Nutella is basically candy, so sorry. That's all I have to say. If you guys can think of any other things I missed on the list that are traditional health foods that are just calorie bombs and screw people up left and right, please drop it in the comments below. We're over at the Facebook page at facebook.com/feedingfitness, and I'll see you guys next time.